The Russian Ministry of Defense has accused Ukraine of allegedly developing a biological weapons program assisted by the US. A spokesman claimed Russian forces had apparently discovered documents concerning the urgent destruction of all traces of the project.
During the special military operation, we discovered evidence of the Kiev regime's urgent destruction of traces of a military biological program implemented in Ukraine and funded by the U.S. Department of Defense. We have received documentation from employees of Ukrainian biological laboratories concerning the urgent destruction on February 24th of highly dangerous pathogens of plague, anthrax, tularemia, cholera and other deadly diseases on February 24th.
Well, we've been hearing from the spokesperson for the Russian Ministry of Defense saying that while they were conducting their operations in Ukraine, they came across evidence that proves that there was a biological program being conducted in Ukraine with the assistance of the American Department of Defense. Now, among the evidence they found is a whole cache of documents that they're currently reviewing and they are analyzing and will release in the nearest future. But what we understand amongst those documents is confirmation that these Ukrainian biochemical laboratories that were close to Russian territory were involved in this biological program. And apparently we're talking here about pathogens of plague, anthrax, tularemia, cholera, and other deadly diseases. At the same time, there seems to have been a major panic when the Russian operation started in Ukraine because there are documents that are dated February the 24th that call for the immediate destruction of any kind of stockpiles or any kind of evidence that pinpoints and shows that this was happening. Now, we know that obviously when the Russian military operation started, there would have been panic in the Pentagon to try and hide any kind of evidence. And one of the documents that has already been released by the Russian Ministry of Defense comes from the Ukrainian Health Ministry, and it explicitly calls on all kinds of biological laboratories in Ukraine to immediately get rid of any kind of evidence that they have. So this is the document. And before we take a look at it, let me mention that the United States has so far not given any kind of response.
The Health Ministry of Ukraine, due to the martial law that was implemented on February 24, 2022, according to the President's decree, requests to ensure the emergency destruction of biological pathogenic agents that are used to provide control systems for laboratory research.
Well, it's in blatant violation of international law, and more specifically, it is in violation of Article 1 of the UN Convention on the Prohibition of Biological and Toxic Weapons. Now, already back after the First World War, there was signed into law the banning of these kind of weapons because the First World War did show just how deadly they can be. And this was then reinforced with further bannings in 1972 and 1993. And what those specifically prohibited was the transfer, the manufacturing, and the development and stockpiling of such weapons. What we do know, of course, is that diseases caused by these type of weapons are deadly, and they are not limited to national borders. So you're talking about here something that has an impact on the international community. So certainly it would be a situation where both Washington and Kiev would be in violation of international law.
And on this, British politician and broadcaster George Galloway believes if the bioweapons claim is verified, it's not only a violation of international law, but also a stark example of US hypocrisy.
And if true, this story is of quite devastating proportions. Not only is it brazenly illegal under international law, particularly the law governing the development of biological weapons, it is exactly the conduct that the United States falsely accused the Iraqi regime of having developed immediately prior to their invasion and occupation. As it turned out, there were no Iraqi weapons of mass destruction. If evidence did survive, if scientists and technicians will testify, then it's bang to rights, I'm afraid, for the United States, and should, if there was a free media in the world, should call into very serious question just how much the US has been using the people of Ukraine, using them as a biological weapons dump, using them as as a cat's paw against the Russian bear, and who knows what else might yet be discovered.
Well, some more startling claims from Russia's MOD. It has claimed a Ukrainian security department may be preparing the possible use of radioactive contamination in the Kharkov region as a provocation. According to the ministry, a notorious ultra-right-wing battalion mined a reactor at an experimental nuclear installation at Kharkov University. Foreign journalists were then brought into the area to blame Moscow for the potential fallout of any environmental disaster. Earlier, Russian forces took control of other nuclear power plants, including at Chernobyl, to prevent, they say, the possibility of any provocations that could have catastrophic consequences.